Hi, welcome to 5 Easy Ways to Impact Legislation. I'm Patrina Mosley, Deputy Director here at the National Center for Sexual Exploitation, and I am joined by the wonderful Jen Edwards, President of Paving the Way Foundation in Florida. So if you're in Florida, you need to connect with this lady right here. Jen, thank you so much for being here and doing this with us.
Absolutely. This is one of my passions is, having our voices amplified and heard such that we can actually pass effective legislation that's going to make a difference.
And that's what we want to do with you today. We want to tell you that there is a way for you to make a difference, and it's not as intimidating as it may sometimes seem, but we know that you can do it. That's why you're here, and we're happy to help. All right, so give us one quick second. We're going to share our presentation with you.
The magic of recording.
Yes. All righty.
Slideshow.
Thank you.
It's right at the top.
There we go.
Yeah.
The you are recording is blocking it.
Yes.
There we go. All righty. 5 easy ways, you all. Non-threatening whatsoever. Okay. To kick it off, Jan, tell us about the first thing we just need to do.
Sure. Well, I'm going to do a little pre-conversation before this. So here's the thing that I really want everybody to understand. In particular, if you're a United States citizen, okay? We are the only country in the world where you can walk through a metal detector and go talk to your representatives, whether it's at the local level with your city and county, whether it's at the state level, at your state capital, even at the federal level, because our representatives, keyword being representative,
Right.
They work for us, right? They work for us, and it's our job as citizens to make sure they hear what we have to say. Okay, so it doesn't take anybody special in the United States other than being a United States citizen to have your voice be heard. And if, and you can still participate along if you haven't gotten citizenship yet, you can still have your voice be heard. This is equally as important. Now, for those of you in other countries, I know sometimes that can be challenging. And here's what I want to say to encourage you. Have faith and stay in the fight. Because the more voices that speak what's important, the more your leaders have to listen. And we're seeing that happen right now out in the world. Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I got to say about that.
Very important. This is the right thing to do, to be heard and to be represented properly. And you have to keep standing in that because it's the right thing. So we are standing with all of those who are attending right now from various parts, and just so happy that you're here. But for those who are in America and want to make a difference, there is one thing you need to start out doing, and that is, Jan,
pick a lane.
Pick a lane. You can't do everything.
No. And what's really great, y'all are here, at the summit. So clearly one of your passions is ending sexual exploitation, child trafficking, online exploitation, right? And there's child trafficking, there's labor trafficking, there's domestic servitude, there's, illicit massage businesses. There's multiple lanes underneath this umbrella called exploitation. So choose the one you're most passionate about. Mine happens to be preventing children from being exploited. So that's my lane, is we do educational programs for youth. We've educated almost 15,000 youth and parents over the past 4 years. And the more I learn and the more conversations we have, that really fuels my fire. And that's my lane, right? So find the place that you're passionate about. There's people that are so passionate about helping those that are, in labor trafficking. Great. Pick your lane, choose the thing that you want to be empowered about and for and have your voice heard. And maybe you're here because you're a social worker and you deal with many issues. Great. Pick one out of all those issues where you can really be passionate about and take a stand for, that you'd literally or figuratively, you get to say, you'd be willing to give your life for. I am willing to give my life for this cause. Not everybody has to, not everybody can choose to, and that's okay. But for me, it's my cause. It's my mission, and I will be doing this until God tells me to do otherwise.
Amen. So, for those of you who are trying to figure out, okay, what's my lane? It may overlap. There may be some issues that overlap. And that's okay to kind of figure that out for yourself. But what I have learned is that once you do pick your lane and become an expert in educating yourself in that lane, things will become a lot less intimidating. Doors will open for you to speak, to rally other people, to get more involved because you've honed a lane for yourself. Now, as you're holding a lane for yourself, you see somebody else who's like in another lane, that's where you can partner together and really make really good magic happen. So
collaboration is the key to everything.
Exactly. So even when you're like, hey, I know I picked this lane, but at the beginning, I know that this lane overlapped with this issue or that issue. And there's this bill, key legislation, that kind of deals with both of these issues. Okay, partner with someone who's made that other issue their lane. So when you pick a lane, don't worry, you're not going to hurt yourself or the movement. You actually strengthen the movement for greater collaboration.
Love that.
All right. So number 2, educate yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, maybe you're at the beginning of the spectrum where you're just like, I don't even know how a bill works. That is a-okay. And the worksheet that we're going to have provided for you, you'll be able to see all the steps we're giving you, but also you'll see just some great, what I call legislation 101 links. You can call it your legislation 101 university. That's the beauty of Google. So even though there's some things they do that we don't like, but they fixed it. And that's a victory for another conversation. Yay. So there's links that we'll provide for you in the handout that will tell you how does a bill number work. You know, your legislature will have a House Assembly or and a Senate, you know, 2 chambers, and your bill numbers will look differently depending on where the bill originated at. Okay, so you'll work through that. It's not as complicated as it may seem, but also you have a state legislature page where, let's say you're reading a news article, you hear about a bill that's about your lane, and you're like, hey, I want to know more information about that. You can easily do that by going to your state legislature page, and you can type in that bill number or just Google the name of the bill in there, and it'll take you to your state legislature or to the bill within the legislature website. However you want to do it, legislature website directly or Google, but you can just find that bill that's in your lane and look that up. And it will go through a process. It goes, each bill, whether you're in your state or in the federal process, has to go through its 2 chambers, state, House, and Senate. And at the federal level, it's the same, House and Senate. That bill has to make it through both chambers. In your state, it needs to be signed by the governor. At the federal level, it needs to be signed by the president. So that's at the simplest level. So when you're following a bill, no, it's going to be a process. You may not see something immediately happen the next day. Be willing to pick your lane, educate yourself, and stick with the process.
And along that same line, what's really great is to find out who is actually sponsoring the bill or co-sponsoring the bill. Because again, remember, they work for us. You can pick up the phone and set an appointment with their local office. Every federal representative and every state representative also has local offices. So sometimes you don't even have to drive or fly to your state capital or to Washington, D.C. You can actually make an appointment here locally in your own city, or you can do Zoom meetings. We did Zoom meetings all last year. And the point being is you actually become a friend to them because they're one person, there's hundreds of other representatives. And if you partner with them, then you can actually expand their voice and your voice at the same time.
Yes. See, it is all working together. You picking your lane and educating yourself and going to your members who represent you.
Yep.
You have every right to do that. And in addition to that, number 3, partnering with experts. So let's say like you picked your lane, you're educating yourself, but you really don't have the time or the bandwidth to keep track of everything that's happening in your lane. That's okay. You have access to partners such as the National Center of Sexual Exploitation and Paving the Way with Jan in Florida to get the knowledge on what's happening, to stay abreast of what's going on. So it's not all on you all the time. A great way to relieve any stress of that is partnering with the experts, partnering with those who are already getting paid, so to speak, to do the work for you. So Jan, what kind of work do you do at Paving the Way, and how can it help people who are in the process of picking their lane and becoming educated?
Sure. So we educate youth about human trafficking and exploitation. So they are educated. I'm a huge fan of education. They're empowered. So now they know what it is and what it looks like. And lastly, so we can use that knowledge and empowerment to prevent them from being harmed. Right. And so through that process, we got to be known for that, not only here in the state of Florida, but across the country. And so when people are working on bills, because we actually had a piece of legislation signed this year to have human trafficking prevention education be in every single school, K through 12. That's something we've been working on for 5 years.
The process, folks, you got to stick with
Process. And we collaborated with organizations throughout the state. And there was one point in time where people were walking the halls talking about the bill we had passed, HB 541, that requires all hotel staff to be educated about human trafficking, their front office staff and their maintenance staff and their housekeeping staff, right? And we heard of representatives going, hey, did you get a call? Hey, did you get an email? And that's the beauty of that, is we had the whole state take this on together, and we gave people very simple messaging that they could pick up the phone and in 30 seconds leave a really simple message about who you were, what you were calling for, and what you wanted your representative to vote yes on.
Perfect example of that collaboration, once again, between the experts and the folks and your representative.
And
so
and I would say one more thing about this. The really great thing about that bill is we went up to Tallahassee 5 times. We had survivor warriors come with us. It was the first time several of them had ever shared their story. And that moved the committees that this bill had to move through, right? And that's the piece, is when you collaborate with the entire spectrum of people in this fight, or in the fight you choose, right, together, you can move legislation forward, because most of these people in committees had never heard really what human trafficking was like and what the impact was on that person for their entire life.
And having a survivor voice is part of that expertise.
Absolutely.
Of partnering with, because who better than them to know what the solutions would be to end future exploitation for the vulnerable at risk. So absolutely, partnering with survivor voices is key. They're just as much experts as anyone else who has picked a lane in the legal sphere or the policy sphere or the educational sphere. All of these spheres, all these lanes come together for collaboration. So as you're at this summit, feel free to partner with those who you have seen speak at other sessions or other attendees here in the WOVA app. Feel free to connect with them. This is the time where you get to connect and network with other people who have picked their lanes to make the movement stronger.
Exactly.
All right, we've been hammering this since the beginning. Know your representatives. Why? Because they're there getting paid by you to represent you. So let's find out who they are. Right, Jan?
Absolutely. And the great part is when they really get you're going to stand shoulder to shoulder with them, it has them feel like they're no longer alone.
Yes.
Right? And then they get to have the experience of their constituency partnering with them, and that they're actually doing what they want to do. Because I truly believe, I really believe most people choose that because they really want to make a difference here. Now, something may happen along the way and that may not remain, right? However, I really do believe most people here really want to do the right thing. And it's going to take all of us to work together and educate them on what's happening in our cities, our counties, and our state, and what's important to us. I advocate for another large organization, and every single time I've gone to DC and sat down in front of not only my representative, but other representatives in our state of Florida, they say every time the thing that makes the biggest difference for them is hearing from us and why we're asking them to support whatever particular piece of legislation that is. And that's the piece, is it really is of the people, by the people, for the people. And guess who the people are? You and me and
Yes,
Patrina, all
us.
of us.
Yes.
Yeah, and they want to hear from you, right? So remember back to they've got local offices, regional offices, state offices, and federal offices. Make yourselves known. Send them thank you notes. Drop them an email. Get to know who they are both during, before, and after legislative sessions.
That's the key. They have to know who you are so that you can make the influence.
Absolutely.
Now, number 5. See, this was harmless, right? We're already there. Rally others. Rally others to your cause. Rally others to your lane that you've picked. And like we've been saying, collaborating with those who may have picked an overlapping lane and a different niche or different expertise, and making magic happen, making something happen, and sticking with the process of knowing your representatives, helping them get educated, and bringing other people in support to let the representatives know that, hey, it's not just me. I have other people here, other constituents who care just as deeply about this issue, who want to see action moved, and we are here to support you in moving this along.
Yeah, and a great way to do that is on social media. When
Mhm.
we had both HB 541 and then multiple times we tried to get the education bill passed on social media, we gave everybody exactly what to say. We gave them links to their representatives so they could find their representative,
Oh,
pick up the phone
perfect.
and either call them or pop them a quick email. And we sent it out to all of our followers. They sent it out to their followers, which is why everybody in the halls of Tallahassee were talking about this bill. It's like, did you get the call? Yeah, I got the call, right? It was almost like I didn't get a call yet, so people were feeling left out that nobody called them. So
Mhm.
that's the other great part. And the other piece too is almost every single rep has a Twitter account, whether you believe in it or agree with it or
Yes.
not. It's a really great way to get your message out and then tag your representatives because they
Mhm.
have legislative aides who we love. They're our friends. They're really the ones that get a lot of the work done,
Yep.
right? That's who we meet with. And they sit down and meet with their reps. So they're the ones that are going to share. We talked to so-and-so. This is what they had to say. Here's the packet of information they left, or here's the email they sent with this information. And when you make it easy for your friends and your family and your followers and your volunteers, it literally amplifies your one voice into hundreds and thousands of voices because we are the
Mhm.
voice of the voiceless. And that's
Yes.
why we wanted to do this session.
Yes. And what really makes these meetings really effective as you're rallying others is that you're intentionally rallying those who have maybe picked a lane that is not yours. Let's say you picked the education lane.
Mhm.
You want to bring somebody in with a legal lane, policy lane, or survivor, someone who works in direct services. That's 5 different niche lanes on your topic that you can bring in to this meeting to show that, hey, this is a spectrum of expertise who are here to support action on this specific bill in this lane. So it really just shows the representative how serious this issue is, to say that these experts from all these lanes are here to meet with him to push this along. So
And there's one bill in particular we can all rally behind right now. Patricia, can you share with them what
exactly,
that is?
the Earn It Act. So okay, we've given you your 5 easy ways you can impact legislation, and you may be saying, okay, I'm ready to go now. What can I do? What can I practice on right now? Well, that's the Earn It Act. The Earn It Act is a piece of federal legislation that needs to be reintroduced yesterday.
Mhm.
What we want you to do is to call your representative, tweet, or email, and you can do all 3 of these things in the WOVA Action Center, and ask your representatives to reintroduce the Earn It Act and co-sponsor it. Now, the Earn It Act stands for the Eliminating Abusive and Rampant Neglect of Interactive Technologies Act, meaning we know that the internet has become lawless. It has not been reformed since 1996, and courts have interpreted the Communications Decency Act of 1996, Section 230, to mean that internet platforms have blanket immunity. Well, right now, in 2021, we have an unfathomable amount of child sexual abuse material just running rampant on various platforms. And the way they keep getting off these platforms, saying they're not liable, is by saying, Section 230, we're good. No, the Earn It Act is the most powerful piece of legislation that will surgically curtail the lack of accountability on internet platforms when it comes to CSAM.
And
So if you want to get started with something
Yep.
right now, this is it.
And for anyone that's a parent, an aunt, a grandparent, an uncle, a sibling that has a, we all have aunties and uncles that aren't necessarily blood relatives.
Right.
This affects our kids at a level you can't even fathom. Suicide rates went up by 51% for teen girls last year. The thing that our children don't fully understand is once a picture's taken and it's gone off their phone, they can't ever get it back. This is the kind of legislation that will hold these companies accountable and ensure that the knowledge that we as parents and grandparents and citizens need to know to keep our kids safe.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, attendees. Once again, I just want to emphasize this action is in the Action Center in the WOVA app. There you'll find information to email your representatives. And also in the worksheet, we'll put some links there for more information about the Earn It Act so that you can be educated. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jan.
Thanks, Patrina. This was fun. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you around campus.
Bye.